So in this video, right, campus map again in that in QGIS, but what sharing level are we at? That sort of thing. So no tricks under the sleeve. We'll go to the project home directory and that I'll go show files. Hopefully it'll popped on the screen. So there's no like file geodatabase and that sort of thing. Okay, there's no geo package. I can honestly tell you this is not coming from a database in that. So the question would be, where is it coming from? So I'm going to slide across and this is where it's coming from, right? In all honesty, is these layers are coming from ArcGIS Online. So the very similar layers, colors are kind of close, but you know how browser renders versus how QGIS renders. Color model can sometimes be off a little bit, right? But it's pretty close in that. The one extra thing that the ArcGIS Online map has is the annotation labels in that. Those did not come across. So it's some other feature doing that in ArcGIS Online. So, and this gets us further down in the browser, right? This is the file part at the top. This is the database part. And so we're down in this area here, and specifically in this web services zone. So these are all different types of web services. In that, I think what I'll do is I'll actually remove this layer here. Okay, and this won't be that fast, but we'll turn a lot of these off. Okay, so we have nothing, but we know we're at the campus in that. So part of what comes stock with the browser, XYZ tiles. Now we've done a lab where we saw the OpenStreetMap, right? ABC server, zoom level for Z, XY tiles kind of deal. That's exactly what this is. So it comes pre-populated with like a global terrain model in that. That's pretty rough. But it also comes with the OpenStreetMap tiles. So I'm just going to double click that on. Actually slide that to the bottom. So this is the OpenStreetMaps version of the campus. It's not too bad actually, that sort of thing. In that, but that's like an XYZ tile server, right? So those are those pre-canned tiles, typically WebMacator. If we go down to the bottom status bar here, you see the 3857. So this is that tiling, quad tree tiling scheme that we talked about in a previous lecture. Tiles pre-made, rendered, ready to go, nice and fast. These are, but that's that OpenStreet tile server. Yeah, it's also popular too, nice and simple. Now this is an east-right, all of these are east-right JSON services in that. Could be tiled, could not be tiled. And should I, I'll quickly log in and show you the asset page. That's what I call it. So I'm just going to slide this over in that. And so this is the web map for me derived from ArcGIS Online. These are the different layers that are in there, right? These are all ArcGIS REST services layers. So we can go click on these and eventually get to them online, get to the service page. It's not following the OGC standard. It's the ESRI standard for REST JSON. Usually takes a few seconds to pump away before it's ready. So we'll hold out here in that. So I usually call this the asset page or the item page in that. And if you really want to get to the real backend service, you scroll down and we'll just view it and just jump over in that. And so this is the actual REST JSON service. The way this used to be is you would publish like your MXD document or your ArcPro map, and a map can have many layers, and you get down to a particular layer, and this is where you get into the actual service that you can talk to. Now from this interface, it's not supposed to be fancy because this is to help a human out a little bit and that sort of thing. This is really meant to be, this big long URL here is really meant to be fed into some type of mapping client, whether it be QGIS Pro, ArcMap, Leaflet, OpenLayers, or even ArcGIS JavaScript API. Right, that's what that foot long URL is all about. And that, and so this is just showing you QGIS, but at the web services layer. Right, so we've bumped up our data sharing level, right? Definitely at enterprise, but if ArcGIS Online is involved, I think we've jumped all the way to what we call infrastructure, right? That's global, distributed across the globe. I have no idea what data center it is in. I know ArcGIS Online uses the Amazon Elastic Cloud in the background, but what data center we're in terms of Amazon, no idea, that sort of thing. Uh, and so we have our data all over the place. One thing there, and it is kind of, there's a nice distributed thing, is that if you have vector features, those end up in something called services in that. And if you have tiles, those end up on the tile server. So I'm just going to bring that tab back if we can. And so we can see that it's on HTTPS, like services1.arcgis.com. They'll have a whole bunch, services 2, 3 for load balancing. They have tons of those. I'm going to flip over to an image service. You'll see that your map might be pulling data from different parts of the system. So I'm just going to slide this across. And notice that this particular one, this is another map I have. It has ortho in that, so it'll have the boundary of the whole ortho data set, the footprint for each image in the ortho data set, and that sort of thing. But the one key thing is to notice, look, it's on a different part of the system, right? Where we have services 1, 2, 3, 4. If we have pre-cached tiles like a web mapping service or a web mapping tile service or an ESRI mapping service that has the web caches built, you end up on these tile servers. So you can have a map you're looking at where data is coming from different parts of the system, right? So very distributed, way up at the infrastructure level. So within QGIS, we've seen in 3 sort of quick demos, we've seen ad hoc. I didn't quite do connected, but network drive, there we are. We've seen functional and domain, and we've seen this enterprise infrastructure level where we move from files to databases all the way up to services. And then how those services are deployed, load balanced, can bump us up to a higher sharing level. But you can see that from within this one product, right, it can work with local files. It can work with databases, not just Postgres. If you look in the list there, you can see Microsoft SQL Server. You can get Oracle in here, SAP HANA in that. But we can also work with web services, whether they be vector tiles, would be Mapbox. Typically, we got OGC web services here. We have Mapbox vector tiles here. We have XYZ tiles here, which is quite popular because it's really easy to implement in code. And we have web coverage service, another OGC thing. And that, let's collapse this down, right? More OGC services, but up here, this is ArcGIS REST services. They have their own style of JSON that they do, and they use REST sort of microservices backend to implement their services. But we can do all those different levels of data sharing within the desktop. So we can participate in all those. The big thing would be, you start out by getting data, but eventually if you're editing data and saving it back and people are seeing your changes as those changes get accepted, I mean, that's a great way to share data. And it's really up to you. Where's your organization at? What level are they at? Right? Are they doing like files on a shared drive? That's not bad. Are they working with a database? That's even better, right? Do they have services like this that we can hit? That's even better, right? There is the one safety of local files is if there's a network outage, you can still get stuff done, right? Once you make that jump to the database, you need a really good stable connection to it. If you're making that jump to ArcGIS Online, then you need a stable internet connection. Because if ever it goes down, then you're not getting much work done that day. That's just, that's the trade-off. Nothing's for free. I think I've mentioned that before. There's always trade-offs and that sort of thing. But this just gives you, hey, it's almost the same data, right? It's just coming from a different architecture, infrastructure. Depending how that's implemented, we can bump up our data sharing level. Like this is a map that I use in a bunch of different courses in 8010 to make some quick mobile maps and that. But I don't need people don't need a VPN. It's hosted in ArcGIS Online in a public format. We have editing turned on some of the layers so people can go out and actually use products like Collector and Field Maps to go capture features and save them back to the cloud. Okay, so you can do all these different types of data sharing levels with QGIS desktop tools, right? Local files, files on a network share, several different databases, right? Client server technology, lots of different web services that are supported out of the gate. One interesting one here is GeoNode is like a open source competitor or similar architecture to ArcGIS Inline in that. So you can have maps and layers and apps, and you can hook GeoNode, right, into QGIS as well. So again, this just demonstrates QGIS, its ability to get out all these different data sources so that you can get your map done, therefore your work done. That's all for now.